Every Nintendo franchise had that one game that we still talk about to this day. Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Mario Kart Wii, just to name a few. Everyone who clicked on this video probably played a lot of Nintendo games in their lives. And while there's a lot of these games that everybody still talks about, we all also played a lot of the games that no one really talks about. Or at least doesn't talk about anymore. And we are here to change that. What is the most underrated game in every major, somewhat alive Nintendo franchise? And why? So without further ado, let's take a look. Super Mario. New Super Mario Bros. 2. New Super Mario Bros. 2 is one of these games that got a lot of hate on YouTube these recent years. Though I kind of understand where the criticism comes from, to me personally the game is far from being horrible. People were frustrated that the game was nothing new, felt somewhat the same as the two predecessors, and that it is home to probably the worst reward for any video game ever. But if we put the rewards aside and take a look at the game without New Super Mario Bros. DS or Wii on our minds, the game is actually a ton of fun. There's actually some nice new little ideas, the controls, the level design, the music and the pace just feels right, and overall you're just gonna have a good time playing it. The bosses lack a lot of creativity though, yes, and overall the game is quite easy, but it's still underrated in terms of it being way too overhated in my opinion. So if you got time on your hands, try one more time. You won't regret it. Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. I mean, come on. Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. While this game is not a full mainline Animal Crossing game, it still has everything you need for a cozy gaming experience that lets you forget about real life for a bit. If you play games like The Sims only to decorate your homes, this game right here is gonna be your jam. Congrats, you got a job as a home interior designer and have to decorate homes. That's basically the game. And oh, it's good. No home feels the same, no task feels similar to the one beforehand, and it just doesn't get boring. So as I said, all you Sims 4 and Animal Crossing fans out there, go get this game now. Mario Kart. Mario Kart 7. How on earth is a game with 18 million sold copies underrated? That's a good and fair question. The reason why Mario Kart 7 is still underrated in my eyes is that I literally know nobody who names Mario Kart 7 as their favorite Mario Kart game. And that makes it kinda weird to me. I know people who literally name Super Circuit or Super Mario Kart as their favorites, but Mario Kart 7 is always only top 5 for most of us. And I also gotta admit, to me personally as well. DS and Double Dash are my favorites, and in third it's Mario Kart 7. The game is so important to the franchise though. It introduced gliders and tracks that are split into sections, and it introduced underwater driving. And I mean, it has Woohoo Island as a track. Come on. And you could even play as... Okay, that's not that positive. Mario Kart 7 is probably not the game you've expected to see in a video with a title like this, but I think it actually makes a lot of sense to call it underrated. Kirby. Kirby's Dream Land 3. If this video would have been made about a year ago, the answer to the most underrated Kirby game would have been Kirby Air Ride. Nobody talked about that game at that point anymore, but since Kirby Air Riders got released last year, that game got a lot of attention again. The game that I would name the most underrated Kirby game is Kirby's Dream Land 3. The game got released over a year into the lifespan of the N64, but on the Super Nintendo. And because of that, it actually never even made it as a physical version into the PAL region. The N64 was way too hype at that moment to appreciate this gem right here, and that's really sad. The look of the game gives Yoshi's Island vibes, and it's just a classic Kirby 2D platforming game. So I don't have to tell you too much crazy stuff here. The only problem literally was the most terrible timing for a release out of any video game on today's list. Yoshi. Yoshi's Story. I would have never played this game if I didn't get sick back in the day and had to stay home, and the only game that I owned and never played so far was this one. And it was worth it. Not being sick though, that was horrible. One thing you have to keep in mind is stick through the first level. Because the first level is the worst of the entire game, but afterwards it gets so good. The main premise of each level is to collect 40 fruits, and then you're out of there. Sounds simple and a little boring, but no, the stages are so charming and really great visual wise, and I think the reason for that is, in my opinion, that it's a 2D platformer.
Using Wikipedia as your source of information.
And 2D platformers are rare on the N64. Because of that, the graphics and character designs and textures are so advanced looking compared to the 3D games of the same genre on the console. The gameplay is quite similar to a lot of Yoshi games out there, so if you're familiar with them, you'll get used to them in no time. And also the game has great replay value since there's different routes every now and then and you can write your own story. Get it? Because it's Yoshi's story?
Okay, let's move on.
Mario Party. Mario Party 10. I can already smell the comments. But yes, I mean it. If you don't jump into the game with a pre-made opinion and expectations, you won't get disappointed. Just don't expect a Mario Kart 8 or DS clone, expect something new. Almost like this would be a spin-off of the series, and then it feels great. The game consists of some nice maps, some really good graphics, awesome minigames, and nice little boss fights. But the true hidden gem of the game is the Bowser mode. One player takes the role of Bowser and chases the other players on the board. And as soon as they get caught, it's over for them.
Well, not entirely. You actually have to face Bowser in the minigame, but he's that overpowered that it is basically over.
Nintendo tried something new with this era of Mario Party games, and that's what everybody always wants, something new. And then Nintendo finally does something new and everybody is mad. I know for Mario Party 9 they tried the same already and people didn't like it, but they didn't want to let go of their idea and believed in it, and I think that's kinda cool. Believe in your ideas, guys. It could have worked out if people would have been a bit more open to change. Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong Country 3. Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 are often considered the GOATs of Donkey Kong games, but this one right here just kind of exists, and that's a shame, because it is my favorite Donkey Kong game of all time. I get that the map structure is a little weird, and all of this little extra stuff like the Brothers Bears can be a lot, but the level design makes so up for it. In Donkey Kong Country 2, I felt like the level ideas and themes were better than in any other Donkey Kong game though, but I often felt like a level dragged on for a little too long, making it feel like an infinite loop sometimes. But here the levels are almost just as creative, the enemies and new ideas are hilarious, and the levels are way shorter. And that's a good thing in that case, because I really don't want to play the same part 3 times in a row. Wii Series. Wii Play Motion. A lot of y'all told me that Wii Play Motion is a way better game than Wii Play, and at first I was skeptic, but now I gotta admit that y'all were right. I tried it again and the game is way better than the original Wii Play. Yes, I said that. I was absolutely blinded by the fact that they got rid of the tank game, but other than that, literally any minigame is a banger. Super creative, and the way they implemented the new Wii Motion Plus controls in this game is simple but clever. My personal favorites have to be Skip Skimmer and Windrunner. Even the graphics look a little cleaner. And overall, I feel like I was actually missing out on one of the top 10 games released on the Wii. No joke. So, sorry Wii Play Motion, I was wrong. I hope you forgive me. Wario, Master of Disguise. Not only that this game is underrated, it is also probably the most unknown game in today's list.
Who are you?
The effort was great, but the sales just weren't. This game flopped, and I literally got no idea why. We get some nice graphics, we get action, we get great gameplay, we got costumes.
Pause on that one though.
And we actually got a kind of decent amount of story for a 2D Nintendo platformer. We are Wario and have to steal stuff. Okay, the story might not be creative, but the storytelling is. I don't know if maybe it was an advertisement mistake by Nintendo to not name the game Wario Land 5. Maybe it would have sold better. But if we take a look at the actual Wario Land 5, it doesn't seem like that would have helped sales-wise. In general, I think this game right here and Shake It Dimension are super ambitious games that sadly didn't meet the sale expectations from Nintendo, and because of that, killed the Wario platformer games. Pokemon. Pokemon Ranger. Probably the best Pokemon game no one talks about anymore. A lot of spin-offs of the Pokemon franchise still get a lot of attention. Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Colosseum, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, but never Pokemon Ranger. And that's, again, a shame. The goal of the game is not to fight with Pokemon, but to catch them, tame them, and with their help get tasks done or catch some other Pokemon. So you are literally a ranger.
I know. I probably didn't have to tell you that.
I also love the way humans interact with Pokemon in this game. It feels like a friendship and not like we are using them for our advantage. even though that's kind of like the entire idea of Pokemon Ranger. So to all Pokemon fans out there, try this game if you haven't yet. And also maybe hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. Was that smooth enough? I don't know. Paper Mario. For Paper Mario, it's actually a tie to me personally between two games. The first one being Super Paper Mario. Super Paper Mario is most definitely one thing different to the other Paper Mario games. The focus is less on fighting and more on riddles and even a bit more platforming and perspective. And while this game is definitely not a favorite among Paper Mario RPG fans, to people like me that are not the biggest fan of RPGs anyways, this game is probably not only the most underrated one, but also one of the best Paper Marios of them all. The second game is Paper Mario Color Splash. First, I gotta agree on some of the game's flaws though, especially backtracking after this right here destroys our progress is insanely annoying. Also, the Koopalings are boring as villains compared to the other Paper Mario bosses. Still, this game has a lot to offer. Great visuals, fun bubbly moments like the bridge rolling up all of a sudden, and overall the game is mostly one thing. Cute, and there is nothing wrong with that. Star Fox. Star Fox Adventures. I think Star Fox Adventures is just that underrated because it basically doesn't even fit into the Star Fox franchise. As a different game with different characters, it may would have got received a little bit better, but this way I think it seems a little odd at first. I mean, imagine a Formula 1 game, but now Lewis Hamilton has to platform. I mean, that's kind of what this game right here is. The game is actually the last game by Rare that got released for a Nintendo system before being sold to Microsoft. And Rare outdid themselves one last time. Rare always was ahead of their time when it comes to visuals, and here it's no different. This game could have gotten released on the Wii U, and I would have believed it graphic-wise. The main goal of the game is to restore a planet, and on the way explore and gain new skills to progress further into new areas. Great story, awesome music, and most importantly, fun. Star Fox Adventures kinda feels like a space Zelda, and is underrated for sure. Zelda. Zelda Phantom Hourglass. Talking about Zelda. Zelda Phantom Hourglass is definitely not unknown, and also not a game that people would say is necessarily bad. But I get the same vibe from it that I did for Mario Kart 7. Cause I know nobody who names this game as their favorite Zelda game, and I actually would say it's the best option to start your Zelda journey with. I think that due to the fact that the game consists of some easy to medium riddles that make you think hard sometimes but are never unfair or make no sense like in some other games. The fact that you have to play the game with a stylus is something a lot of people criticized, and when I first started the game I was also super annoyed at, even that much that the first thing I did was googling if I can play the game with the buttons and the D-pad somehow. But after playing the game for 30 minutes, you can't imagine what it'd be like to play the game with normal controls. The only thing that I don't really enjoy is that CLI gives you way too many hints where to go, what to do in the riddles, etc. That it makes it sometimes feel a little too easy. But to be fair, that's probably kinda good for someone like me. Also, the theme of the game is great. I mean, who of us never wanted to be a pirate, huh? Phantom Hourglass, you'll always be special to me. Smash Bros. Smash Bros. Brawl. First off, I totally get why the game is not enjoyed by many people. The unfair multiplayer if you play competitive. Random stumbles and movements made the game unbalanced to a lot of gamers who play this game not only in their spare time but also on tournaments. And while I gotta agree on the bad multiplayer, I have to say though that as a real bad amateur casual Smash player with no friends, like I am, it is probably one of the best Smash games because of the amazing single player. The single player might be one of the best ones of the entire franchise in my opinion. The fighting sections feel amazing, the jump and run parts are a ton of fun, and the maps are just gorgeous. I have to admit that probably doesn't save the game entirely though, since it's meant to be a multiplayer experience, cause Super Smash Bros. Equals multiplayer to me. But it makes the game still worth buying and playing it. Also, I think the game is super easy to access, and if your opponent isn't exactly the world champion,
Or picks Meta Knight, cause he's overpoweredly broken,
everyone will have a chance to a certain degree. I gotta admit one more thing though, that I am not the biggest Super Smash expert, so it would be odd to pretend that I am. So please, if you are into the franchise a bit more than I am, let me know your choice of the most underrated Smash down in the comments. Mario and Luigi. Okay, I gotta say it. I'm not a huge fan of the series. Don't get me wrong, it looks amazing, and I bet most of y'all have super fun memories with that franchise, and I wish I would love it too, cause the game looks so cool, but gameplay wise it's simply not my cup of tea. So who am I to talk about an amazing series of games that are just not my thing? I feel like it would be a bit unfair of me to talk down some of your favorite games if I don't even know what I'm talking about.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
So I googled a bit, and from what I've seen, most of the online users agree that Partners in Time is the most underrated game of the Mario and Luigi games. From what I understand, the game is about Mario and Luigi traveling around in time to save Princess Peach, who got lost in a time travel adventure. On the way, they team up with their younger baby selves, and I again gotta say, I'm sad that it's not my cup of tea, cause it sounds amazing. Gameplay wise, I can't tell you a lot, but I hope you can forgive me. So, just like for Smash Bros, please let me know your opinions in the comments if you played the games and have a more in-depth knowledge about these games than I do. Metroid. Metroid Prime 4. The newest game of today's video is Metroid Prime 4. And it's already overhated, and that's why it's also already underrated. I think the reason is quite clear though. After all this time without a new Metroid Prime, players had the opportunity to form their own versions of the game that they want in their heads. And that's always dangerous, but something that sadly happens to all of us. Cause then we are not that open-minded anymore if the game is not what we already created in our heads. It doesn't meet our expectations anymore and we're disappointed. That's sad, cause the game is quite good. Action-wise, it's a ton of fun. The visuals are actually really great for once on the Nintendo Switch too. Yes, I am looking at you. And the story is amazing. Another big problem is that the game got released now, during a time period that Nintendo already gets a lot of hate for literally everything. And yes, I also do criticize Nintendo a lot in my videos, but I feel like everything that is not a new 3D Mario game at the moment gets hate. And as I said, even though I'm not a fan of a lot of things Nintendo has done recently, we have to be careful that we don't immediately nitpick literally everything the brand does. And I think Metroid Prime 4 is a victim of that hate spirit that lingers around Nintendo for a while now. So, give this game a chance. For real. Pikmin. For Pikmin, it's super hard to find a game that is underrated, cause Pikmin is a hit or miss franchise. If you love Pikmin, you love Pikmin. And if it's not your thing, then it's not your thing. I think all of the mainline Pikmin get almost the same amount of love by fans and the same amount of disliking by non-fans. And to me personally, it's the same. Every game has that awesome atmosphere about it and feels similar in terms of how good they really are. So, what's the most underrated one? Only because of the accessibility, I don't know if I say that word right, I want to say Pikmin 3. It was stuck on the Wii U for a long time, so the accessibility wasn't that great. But now that we got it on the Switch a couple years ago, there's literally no reason why it would be still considered as underrated. And if we take a look at the two non-mainline games, Hey Pikmin and Pikmin Bloom, I think they are also perfectly rated by fans and gamers for what they are. Pikmin is the first franchise where I can't name a game that's underrated, cause they're all perfectly rated in my eyes. Splatoon. For Splatoon, it's once again hard to name a game that's underrated. Two reasons for that. The first one being, there's only 3 games out there. And the second reason, each Splatoon game is meant to replace its predecessor. When Mario Odyssey got released, for example, it didn't replace 3D World. When Majora's Mask got released, it didn't replace Ocarina of Time. But when a new online competitive game gets released with somewhat the same mechanics and the same premise, then it's meant to replace the previous entry of the franchise. And since Splatoon 3 is the most recent one and gets played a ton, and the first Splatoon is literally one of the only games that was ever able to push the Wii U into the spotlight, I gotta say it's probably Splatoon 2 at the moment. But there is no particular reason to that other than it's not the most current one, so it's not in the spotlight anymore, but it's also not the game that started it all. I know that may be a whack way to determine the most underrated Splatoon game, but I don't see any other way to do it. Or do you see one? If you do, please also let me know in the comments. So, as you'll see, there's a lot of Nintendo games that I do think are underrated. There's probably 1 or 2 franchises that I missed though, so please let me know which ones you would have also added into the video and tell me your most underrated game of that franchise down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you did, please consider to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this. See you next week with the next one. God bless y'all, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.